Okay, what did we leave off with the other day? Somebody with good notes tell me. Set builder notation and interval notation. I think we went over that. We were talking about domain and range, which I also think that we're leading into functions, which I think. Okay. Let me go over to the. Just give me a second. I'm trying to do two things at one time. Math 110. Math 110. Just give me a second. Math 110 syllabus. Generic outline. Hey there. Open. There we go. Okay, relations and functions. Yeah, that's where we are right now. Okay, so we talked about domain and range. We talked about functions. So now let's tie it all in. And that's what we're going to do today is tie it all in and then move into functions and the graphs of functions, vertical and horizontal shifts. So, first thing we need to talk about is the functions. From here on out, you usually see y is equal to 2x. Well, like I told you before, that's no good anymore because it's not sophisticated enough. From here on out, everything is going to be a function. Okay? You need to make that note. You need to make the note that this is the same thing as a fancy what? Y. It's the same thing as a fancy y. So if I give you f of x is equal to 2, then that's saying y is what? Equal to 2, so you need to find x, whatever that case may be. If I give you f of 2 is equal to 5, then I'm basically telling you that x is 2, or y is 5 when x is 2, just like you learned back in pre-algebra. If I give you f of x plus h, then that means if I give you f of x is equal to 2x plus 3, then that means if I want f of x, that means wherever there's an x, I put a set of parentheses, then I plug in x plus h. If I give you f of 2, wherever there's a parenthesis, I'm going to plug in what? 2. So some of the things that you need to put together now is that functions are going to take the place of y. All right? Do I agree with it? No, not really. But I don't really have a dog in that fight, so I have to teach you what's what. And remember, you can do f, let's say f of x is equal to 2x. And g of x is equal to 4x squared. I want you to give me f plus g of x, f minus g of x, f times g of x, and f divided by g of x. So I want each one of you, and we went over this last time, I want each one of you to do that. Give me those four things using f of x is equal to 2x and then g of x is equal to 4x squared. And some of them you'll be able to simplify, some of them you won't be able to simplify. So the first one would be 2x plus 4x squared, or 4x squared plus 2x. The second one would be 2x minus 4x squared. Now, if you wanted to turn that around, you have to be careful because it's not, it's not commutative. Subtraction is not commutative like addition is. So you would have to say, or negative 4x squared plus 2x. Multiplication would be 2x times 4x squared. And if you did that in pre-algebra, was 2 times 4. And what's x to the first times x to the second? X to the third. And then f divided by g of x would be 2x divided by 4x squared, which 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. And x to the first minus x to the second would be x to the negative 1, but you bring that down, and that would be x. Okay. So like I've said, you have done this before. It's just that you did it in pre-algebra and algebra 1, and you were told how to do it there, and then here you're told to do it and hold your pinky up because it's more sophisticated. Now what about composition? Composition, I'm going to take you back in pre-algebra. Were you ever given something like this? Or in algebra 1? System of what? Systems of equations. Now what are you supposed to do here? That's what I heard. Okay, good. Enunciation and volume. No offense, but I can't hear that. Okay, I don't know who said it, so I'm not picking on anybody. Substitution. You take this and you plug it in for what? Y. So it'll be 2x plus 3 times blank is equal to 4. And then you plug that 2x plus 2. And this is called substitution. Write that down because all of you have done this in algebra 1. Now the reason it's important for you to write it down and for you to remind yourself that you did it in algebra 1 is when I do fog and goth, F composed of G and G composed of F, you don't sit there and go, oh, I've never done that before. You have. You did it back in algebra 1. So let's show you what composition is. Composition, if I spell it right, if I don't, then you spell it right on the paper. I don't need spelling lesson. Composition of functions is basically substitution. So if I give you f of x is equal to 2x and g of x is equal to 4x squared, I think that's what I gave y'all from the previous screen. Is it? Okay. Then I want f composed of g, which is fog. Okay. What is f composed of g? Now the reason I say fog is for you to remember that that's not a dot, it's a what? It's an open circle, meaning composed. Fog is f composed of g. Now what in the heck does that mean? It means that the function f is there and we're substituting in g. I'm sorry, we're substituting in f, g. Now what I like to tell students is this guy right here, take your highlighter, what comes first is the one that's going to get the big set of parentheses. So F is going to get the big set of parentheses. All right. So the F, I'm going to rewrite the problem. And I'm going to rewrite F with a big set of parentheses. 2x. And then this guy, we'll use him, we'll make him green. Goes in here. So what is G? 4x squared. So you're going to put 4x squared in there. And 2 times 4x squared is what? 8x squared. So F composed of G is equal to 8x squared. Yeah, that's called G composed of F. It's lost. All right. Now y'all gonna have to excuse me, but are y'all sisters? Are y'all sisters? Do they look like sisters? Y'all look like sisters. Yeah. Have y'all been in my class before? Yeah. Okay. That's why I think y'all sisters. No, that person is not. I haven't seen that person before. Did you add like last week or something? You have been in my class before. Ah, okay. That's why I'm okay. I know I'm chasing rabbits. I'll shut up. G composed of F. So now I'm going to rewrite G. Sorry. I'm going to rewrite G, and I'm going to rewrite it with a big set of what? Parentheses. Now a lot of you are saying, well, why are you making such a big deal? The big set of parentheses will tell you what to do. Now, I have tried to teach students composition several different ways, and none of them have been successful except for the big set of parentheses. Now, you might want to ask where I came up with the big set of parentheses. Not from another teacher. That's the way I did it when I was a student. When I learned composition of functions, said to myself, I said, okay, this guy is going to get the parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite this with a big set of parentheses. And then I'm going to take the F and I'm going to plug it in right here. And that is exactly how I learned how to do composition of functions. I sure as heck didn't learn it the way that I was being taught, because it confused the crap out of me. Okay? So that's how you remember G composed of F and F composed of G. G written with a big set of parentheses, or F written with a big set. Whatever's first is written with a big set of parentheses, and then the whatever is right here goes in. So what would that be? 8x squared. Well, it's not going to be 8x squared. Why? It's going to be 4 times 4x squared, which is what? The enunciation and the volume is getting a little bit better. I'm starting to understand y'all. All right, what about F composed of F? Try that. F composed of F. F. So I'm going to rewrite F with a big set of parentheses. And then what am I going to put in the big set of parentheses? 2x. And that's going to give me 4x. G composed of G. I'm going to rewrite G with a big set of parentheses. And what goes in there? G. So that's going to be 4 times 16x to the 4th, which is 64. Y'all check me. 6 to the 4th. I want to answer that. You just said something else. You're right here. Right here. 4 squared. You got to remember when you've got something quantity squared. This is a 1. What's 2 times 1? 2. So 4 squared is 16. Which is a very common mistake with students. If I square 4x squared, usually I get 4x to the 4th. That's a common mistake. All right, so this is functions. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that you need to remember that you know how to do this stuff. Don't get intimidated with the pinky in the air, because that's all you're doing. If I give you the following: f of x is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 4, and I want you to find f of 2, f of negative 2, f of negative 1, f of 0, f of 1, and f of 2. Go ahead and do this. Well, Hubert, I'm not sure I know how to do it. Well, go back to pre-algebra, because you did it this way in pre-algebra. What did you do with those numbers? Plug them in. Negative 2 squared is what? 4 minus 8, negative 4, plus 4, 0. Negative 1 is 1. Minus 4 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 4 is what? 0 plus 4 is 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is what? 2 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 plus 4 is what? Y'all check my numbers. Here, that's a big set of parentheses. And I plug in a negative 2. Negative 2. That'll give me a 4 minus 8 plus 4. 4 minus 8 is negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 4. Plug in negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Minus 4 plus 4 is what? 1. 0. Parentheses squared plus 4 times parentheses plus 4. What happens to the zeros? Left with 4. And so on. But what if I give you this? What if I give you, erase this, this is what causes smoke behind the ears. What if I give you f of x is equal to 4, and f of x is equal to 5. And you sit there and stare at it for 15 minutes. Well, what did you do in pre-algebra? Well, what does that mean? What does this mean? Y is equal to what? 4. So you're going to find x. Y is equal to 5. So you're going to find what? X. So you've got to set the thing equal to what? 4 and 5. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 4. And x squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to what? 5. And you solve if you can. Alright? Now I'm not going to do that here, because that's what I'm trying to get you to see is if they ask you to do f of 2, that's the same thing as you doing this in algebra 1. If they say f of x is equal to 4. That's the same thing as you in Algebra 1 saying that y is equal to what? You find x. Anything new? No. Have you been doing it since Algebra 1? Yes. But the only difference now is instead of y, it's f of x. So let's talk about graphing nonlinears. Back a long time ago, you were told f of x is equal to 4x plus 2, or y is equal to 2x plus 3, or y is equal to negative 1/2 x, or f of x is equal to 2. And you were told to graph those lines, which were all what? X to the first power, x to the first power, x to the 0 power. All of these are what we call linear what? Linear equations or linear functions. What's the first 4 letters of linear? Line, meaning a straight what? Straight line. And you have x to the first power. Most of the time, x to the first power, you have a linear equation. But what do you have when you don't have x to the first power? Well, that, my friends, is pretty much what you call nonlinear equations. And that is what a lot of your Algebra 2 and your college algebra is based around. Nonlinear. Why? Well, because here is your little Algebra 1, Algebra 2, college algebra, trig, and then calculus. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Algebra 1, straight lines. Algebra 2, straight lines and non-straight lines. And then here, and then here, and then here, particle in space. And we want to figure out how fast that particle in space is going. Okay, so right now, you're right in here. And we're making the transition into the nonlinear. Because when you get calculus later on, you're going to have to understand everything in terms of the nonlinear. Because particles in space do not travel in straight lines. Okay? They travel in what? They travel in curves. So you have to be able to understand curves in order to understand that particle in space. So, what's the first thing that we talk about? Well, we talk about x to the first, which is a straight line. That's the first one. Take you a sheet of paper out and divide it into 8 areas. Just like this. Okay? Turn your landscape, take your straight edge if you got one, draw it into 8 terms. This first one is x to the first power, which is a linear term. This is called your parent graphs. You're going to learn these because in algebra, college algebra, you have to know them. Now this is Unit 1 and Unit 2 material. Now remember, I told you the Unit 1 and Unit 2 tests will be together. There'll be 2 separate tests, but we're going to build up to them. So just bear with me. It's going to be a while before you take your first test with me. Right? But by that time, you're going to be so smart with functions and so smart with completing the square and so smart with vertical and horizontal shifts that you're going to look at Unit 1 and go, that's simple, because you'll be in Unit 2 material. And when I give you the Unit 1 test, with the Unit 2 test, you're going to be like, this is the same stuff. It is. Okay? So, what's the second? The second type is x to the second power. And this one is the one that you're going to see a lot of in this book, in this course. And that is called the parabola. Or, as Hubert called it in his first college algebra class, Dr. Gabati's class, a parabola. And he looked at me and said, I do not understand what you are saying. Well, that there's a parabola. I didn't know how to say parabola, so I called it a parabola. He looked at me like I was crazy, and I dropped him 2 days later. Okay? Finally, I got a Math 110 teacher, some of you may know her, Miss Pepper. And when I said parabola, she understood what I was saying. Okay? She corrected me afterwards. She said, now, Hubert, she said, I know you're from around here, but parabola is not the way you pronounce it. It's parabola. And she was very nice. Parabola is what we're going to study. Parabola is what you call a quadratic. So you might want to put quadratic under there. Quadratic. X to the third. You'll see this in this course. I just call it an S-type curve. X to the fourth, we're going to study x to the fourth. It's called cortex, which means it looks like a parabola, but it's a little bit flatter because of the what? Because of the even exponent. That's why they're called cortex. Okay? They're all parabolas, but they level out because x to the fourth, x to the sixth, x to the eighth, x to the 12th, x to the 10th, x to the 12th, x to the 14th, x to the 16th, and so on. All the even exponents are going to look like this on the ending behavior, but they'll flatten out based on what? Based on the, I don't know why it's marking all over the place. Based on how big the exponent is. Now, x to the third, x to the fifth, x to the seventh, x to the ninth, all of those will have this ending behavior. So you might want to go down here and put a little cloud around it. That's the ending behavior for all of those functions. And the ending behavior for the cortex functions is like that. And you might want to make a note of that because you're going to see that in the book. It's called ending behavior. Then there's x square root of x, or x to the 1/2. And that's going to look like it's just a swoosh. And then there's absolute value of x. This one's easy to remember, especially for the alcoholics in the room, because absolute value and absolute vodka. What does vodka and value start with? A V. And what does it look like? A V. And then you got 1 over x, which I like to call half a volcano. And then you got 1 over x squared, which I call the volcano. Now, these functions are called the parent graphs. They're also called the family of graphs. The reason I wanted you to put this in your notebook is because it would probably help you to make about 4 or 5 copies of it and post it up different places where you can memorize it. Because what we're going to be studying next with the parent graphs is vertical and horizontal shifts. Now, I'm going to kind of get a little bit of Unit 2 in here with Unit 1. That's why I don't give you a test until we get through with both the units. Because in order to understand the intercept function or the intercept form of a function, you've got to be able to do completing the square. And doing completing the square in Unit 2 does not give you enough exposure and enough time to let completing the square sink in. So, when I talk about doing one of these problems and doing completing the square, instead of just doing it completing the square in Unit 2, you're going to do completing the square in Unit 1 and Unit 2, which doubles the exposure and doubles how many problems you can do with completing the square. So by the time you get through with Unit 2, you'll know how to do completing the square. And you're going to get sick of doing it. But you're going to see it again in Calc 1, 2, and 3. Right, Mr. Harvell? Mr. Harvell's already taken it. He's taking this class for qualification or something. And what is it for principal?
Yeah,
certification. Yeah, he's already taken, I think he took my DiffEq, didn't he?
Oh,
differential equation. That was awful. You know they changed the book after that?
did he?
Yep, because Matthew Anser was in charge of it. And he said, this book is terrible. And I went, oh. We had a book that it wouldn't even show you how to do the problem. It would show you the first 2 or 3 lines, and then it wouldn't even give you the answer. There wasn't that it. It wouldn't even give us the answer. Or it would.
Well, the best thing I remember was I went on the computer and looked up this university up in Ohio.
Yeah.
You remember that? Those sheets up on
Yeah.
there? And that really made a big difference.
Yeah. The book was terrible. The book was, we were just doing problems that I made up and problems that I found off the computer and stuff like that. Because the book, might as well throw the book in the trash can. Dang old beautiful mind, walk in, throw the book in the trash can. That's what we should have done first, guys. Anyway, that's a parent graph. But the reason I'm telling you that is these things are going to follow you all the way to calculus. For those of you that's going to be taking calculus. And you're going to need to know it. Why? Because anything having to do with f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 7. Well, when you look at that, boom, you know it's going to be what? A parabola. And you got to know it that quick. So if you don't learn these, you're going to suck at calculus. And anybody that's taking calculus that you know will tell you, and Mr. Harvell will tell you, 90% of being a good calculus student is knowing your what? Algebra. Knowing your algebra. If you don't know your algebra and calculus, you're going to suck at calculus. Period. What I would tell you is to take your 102 notebook and your college algebra notebook and keep them, because the first 2 weeks of Calculus 1, you're going to be using those 2 notebooks. And you're going to be going over the same stuff that's in those 2 notebooks. Okay? Well, the first couple of days, because some teachers will spend a lot of time on it. All right, so this is the first thing. The second thing is the general form of a function. F of x is equal to a times x plus h quantity squared plus k. Now, it could be f of x is equal to a times x plus h to the 3rd power plus k. It could be f of x is equal to a, absolute value of x plus h, plus k. It could be f of x is equal to a times the square root of x plus h plus k. Do you notice that all of these look like some of the parent graphs? All right? Your goal or your objective in Unit 1 and Unit 2 is when you see this form that you know what the A and the H and the K means. So this is a good second page of notes to put with that parent graph. Take the highlighter and we're going to highlight this A. In all of these, even though they're different functions, the A stands for orientation. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Great. I'm going to send this over here. If you will cooperate with me, thank you. Y'all are impressed, aren't you? I know you are. It only took me 2 or 3 semesters to figure out how to do that because I haven't had any training on this thing. A is orientation. Okay, if A is between 0 and 1, if A is between 0 and 1, those of you that know your inches, know your inches, start off with a quarter, 7 6/3/8, 7 16ths, 1/2. What's that for 1/2? 9 16ths, 5 8ths, 11 16ths, 3/4, 13 16ths, 7 8ths, right? 15 16ths. All of those are fractions that are between 0 and what? 1. If you have a function where A is a fraction between 0 and 1, and that sucker is going to be wider than normal. What's normal? Turn back to your parent graphs. The parent graphs are normal where A is equal to 1. Okay? Parent graphs are what you're comparing to. If A is greater than 1, meaning 3 halves, 2, 4 halves, 6, 21, 21 halves. I don't want to use the word thin because that's the wrong context. Narrow. Narrower than what? Narrower than normal, meaning narrower than your parent graph. Now we're going to see this in the next problem we're going to do after I go through this, is you're going to take a piece of graph paper and some colored pencils or highlighters, and we're going to draw some certain ones, and you're going to start to see this. It's very important that you see it, because if you don't see it, then you're going to suck at it. You've got to see it visually. Okay, what about if A is negative? Well, if A is positive, that means it's opening upward. If A is negative, that means it's opening what? Downward. And that's all from that first number in front of the parentheses, or in front of the absolute values, or in front of the square root symbol. Whatever number's out there is going to tell you this stuff right here. Capiche? And I promise you it'll make a whole lot of sense when I get through with presenting everything and we start doing problems. I know you don't want this. Okay. What's next? Well, we take our handy dandy highlighter and we'll color it yellow. And we're going to highlight this guy. H. Whatever is in that spot, that's called horizontal shift. Now, the horizontal shift, this is the only time That is the opposite. If it's positive, that means you go to the left. If it's negative, that means you go to the right. Now there is a reason that it's like this, and if I explained it to you, it would probably confuse you. But the original equation is h is x minus h. And if you have a negative 2, what would a negative 2 make this h? What's the two negatives? Positive. So negative 2 would give you a what? Positive. That's why it's the opposite. And I'm not going into it no further than that. I'm just giving you an explanation of why it's opposite. This is why it's opposite. So just take my word for it. Okay? I promise you, if you just take my word for it, it will be much easier than trying to understand. Okay, so this is the only time that H is the opposite. Only time. What about K? What is K? Well, let's highlight K. And we'll highlight K, something different. Like I have no idea what that is. It just come out arbitrarily. K, if you say that A is the orientation, and you say that H is the horizontal shift, then by law of deduction, what do you think K is? Vertical shift. Good. We have some people in here that can think. K is the vertical shift. And I can't spell vertical, so I hope that's right. You ever just look at a word and it just don't look right? When I write vertical, I just don't look at it. Vertical shift. K positive means up. If K is negative, that means what? Okay. Now, most of the time, these will be given in this form. Okay? They're not going to ask you to give it in that form. But the first one, we spend a lot of time working on quadratics in college algebra, getting the a times x plus h, the x squared plus 2x plus 2, getting it into this form. All right? So, let's take a look at some of these. I want you to get a piece of graph paper out, and everybody should have graph paper because that's what's on the thing. If you don't, let somebody borrow. You need a straight edge and you need some highlighters. So if you don't have graph paper, then just use your notebook paper, but you're going to need to use a straight edge because you can't do this half-assed. You're going to have to do it with a straight edge because it's going to look stupid. Okay? Draw a picture, draw a XY coordinates on your page like this. X and Y coordinate, I want you to number all the way out to the edge of the page. And I'll do this in pencil or black ink, something basic. Okay, so take your clean sheet of paper and make it look like this. I want you to label it. And this is also something good that you might want to do with your homework. If you got some graph paper, do this and then run you about 10 copies of it. You know, have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way out to whatever the edge of the paper is, and then run you about 10 copies so you'll have it already numbered. But that would require a little bit of work, you know, something a lot of people don't like to do. Once you get it all labeled and pretty and labeled and put all your numbers on it, then we're going to draw several different graphs on this one graph. I'll give everybody a minute or two to do that. So tomorrow when you come to class, which is when? Thursday? You might want to bring some graph paper because we're going to be doing this for a couple of days. Yeah, tonight is Curse of Oak Island. Anybody ever seen that show? Curse of Oak Island. My mother, she got rid of AT&T. She said the heck with them. She didn't say the heck with them, but she yanked out all the AT&T stuff. So she had no TV. So I had to get her one of those antennas so she can get local channels. It's not too bad. I actually hooked it up last night. Y'all got one? Have y'all ever got one of those?
I've always had trouble.
Well, I'm about ready to take the wreck. If I can find a good movie, I'm thinking about doing Nextel. I'm thinking about doing Netflix and government channels, government TV, because my direct bill is going out the roof. Tell me about that. How does that work versus Netflix?
I think he's getting more like she was watching and she watched like you can't open it because you get like watching on Netflix.
No. Netflix is like movies and TV shows.
Yeah, you can get
You can?
on the house. Yeah.
You got Fox,
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah. And she got her yeah.
Jailbroke.
Yeah. That's why I watch both of those movies.
And how much is Amazon Fire Stick?
She bought the Fire Stick and then $100. It's $25.
All right. Where do I get the Amazon Fire Stick?
Go on Amazon or Fire Stick and then get it to me.
And then I can get rid of direct.
Yes.
Oh, hell to the yeah.
Except where we're at, we don't have any internet. I mean, like,
My internet's through AT&T.
My only internet options is through Dish Network.
Well, I had Usenet, and I had to give it up because it got so bad.
How did you? AT&T says they don't have an option. They don't have either in my area.
They will, because they said before the divorce I had AT&T internet, and during the divorce I disconnected because I wasn't living at home, and then 1 year later I called AT&T to get it hooked back up because I moved into the house, and they said they couldn't connect it in my area. I said, well, a year ago y'all had it connected. Yeah, but somebody took your spot. So in each area there's so many spots, I guess server capacities, and once it's filled, they have to go back out and put another one in. And probably is what's happened in your area is it's filled just like mine got filled, and I had to wait till they come out and put another thing in. Yeah, that's what it is. They won't tell you that, but that's what it is. They got to come out and put another pedestal or whatever, and another card or whatever with another. I don't know how it works, but it works like that. And then when they get another one, they're going to be calling you saying, "Okay, we got internet." You know.
Well,
But HughesNet is good, but it sucks when it comes to movies.
I've been seeing Charter go up and down the road. Charter stopped where that old Chamber Bars mess is.
Yeah, I wouldn't charter. I ran Charter off my property because I had about before Direct come out, Dish Network, Charter was it. So I went to Charter and got a petition for them to come down McClure Road, and I had like 25 names on it. And they said, well, we can't come down that road because it's Blue Ridge. Well, I knew one of the directors at Blue Ridge, and I had him write I said, do y'all have any problem with Charter using the telephone poles? No, we don't have a problem with that. Would you write a letter? So I got them to write a letter, and I gave that to Charter, and Charter said, we'll get back with you. And then about 6 months later, I went back up to Charter, and they said, we're not interested in doing McClure Road right now. Okay. So Direct came out in the next 6 months. This was like 20 years ago, because I've been with Direct for like 20 years. And Direct came out, and Dish Network came out, and what did that do to the cable companies? It ruined the cable company. So here comes a little truck down my driveway, and it's Charter. And luckily, I still had the file on Charter. I said, you take this file and you get off my property. And I said, I don't have anything against you, but I have something against your company. And I told them to get off my property. I said, don't ever set foot on this farm again. They wanted to use our power poles on our property to run cable down McClure Road. Like 10 years after I got them, I wanted them to do it, and they said they wasn't interested.
Call back, that's him.
I'm going to.
Yeah. That's a money.
But yeah, you're talking $200 to $300 a month.
Oh, hey, I would say, you screwed it over, make it 5 or 600.
But yeah. But how does the Fire Stick work
You stick it in the HDMI port.
in the TV?
Yeah, and you go to Wi-Fi.
Okay, where's the catch? There's got to be a catch.
You got an outlet.
You gotta have what?
You got an outlet.
An outlet for what?
Wow.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a server or something. I didn't know what you were talking about. Well, as soon as class is over, I'm ordering one, because as soon as I can cut off direct, that's another $200 to $300 that I can spend on something else.
Yeah, my kids' network bill is like $180.
Now, do I complain about it? No, I don't complain about it, because I get movies out from email. I mean, as soon as it comes on, it's $5.99, $3.99. I pay for it. I know that. But I don't go crazy over some other stuff that other people go crazy over. I just like watching movies. So,
Charter doesn't make any difference.
yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that Fire Stick works. I'm going to order that thing as soon as class is over. All right, now, I want you to take this graph that you've written, and I want you to graph this in black. F of x is equal to x squared. Black or pencil. So go over to the side somewhere and write this f of x, and go over to the side of you and draw a little x and y, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Do the math and then plot the points. I'll help you out since y'all are sitting there looking at me like I'm crazy. What's -2 squared? -1 squared. 0, 1, and 4. Now plot those points and draw a line between them and see what you get. You should get a parabola. Or for sophisticated people, how do you pronounce parabola? Parabola. I'm going to call the roll while y'all are doing that. Let me freeze this so y'all can. It gives me something to look forward to today. I went to buy my big screen TV went dead, so I went to buy my mama that antenna for the local channels, and I ended up buying a TV. That was not a good thing. But they had a 55-inch for $250 at Best Buy. There was only like 2 left. I grabbed that stuff. I grabbed the one that was left. $250 for a 55-inch. Now, I don't care nothing about being smart TV. I got a computer to hook up to that, but that wasn't too bad.
They're doing the move from 1080 to 4K. That's why they're trying to slash up the prices.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
This one's 60K. Is that good or bad? It's 1080 and then it's got 60.
60 hertz.
Yeah, 60 hertz. Is that good or bad?
That's good.
Okay.
30 hertz is even fine.
Oh, so the lower is better?
The
higher?
higher.
Yeah, that's what the guy told me. He said the only difference between this and a $600 one is that you can do the apps on the $600 one, and this one you can't do the apps. I said, yeah, but I've got a dumb TV, the one that went down, and I just plugged up my laptop. He said you can do that, or you can get a thing to plug into it to do the apps for $30.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. And I said, So it's me pay $600 or $800 for the apps, which I can do with my laptop with this. He said, yeah.
And the process is pretty
Mhm.
a lot smaller than
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. So I'm gonna try the Fire Stick thing. I'm gonna try that, but I'm not gonna. I guess I'll have to turn off the direct one, or do I just turn off the box? Just turn off the box and try it, and then if I don't like it, I'm not out. I use both.
Your TV should have an input for each.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you just switch between the two. And how much is the Fire Stick? I can't believe that. I'm gonna jump on that. Everybody's gonna go out and get a Fire Stick now.
Explain what's on Fire Sticks and what sticks up to.
You're what?
And explain run on Fire Sticks
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
sticks up to.
I know one thing. I'm getting tired of paying that money. That's for sure. Now if I could just figure out how to get my cell phone bill down, I'd be doing good.
Good run phone.
Well, that's what everybody says. All right, let me get the attendance today. Math 110. And today is Tuesday. All right, I'm going to try to learn some of y'all's names today. So if I'm staring at you, I'm not perving or anything. I'm just trying to learn your name. Miss Allison. Mr. Allison, sorry. Wait a minute. No, I know you do. Is that McCall's down in Level Land?
No.
No, it's not.
Well, I know them.
You know them?
Yeah. Their dog is going to play with McCall.
Oh, okay. Where are you from around? Are you from Honey Path?
Yeah.
Well, that's not too far. In fact, Mr. McCall, Bill McCall, is one of these people that everybody goes to when you need John Deere worked on, the tractor. The man is a surgeon with John Deere tractors. He's been doing it for like 150 years, and he's only like 100 years old. So he's been doing it all his life. And he's one of these people you can just tell him on the phone what it's doing, and he can say, well, you need to get this, this, and this, and bring it down here, and I'll fix it. I mean, he can tell you what's wrong with your tractor just by you making the noise on the phone. He's amazing. Very smart man. It must run. Does it run in the family?
I know Bill McCall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all farmers know him.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I know your name now because Bill McCall. I just got to make that word association. All right, Mr. Barnes. Okay. And Mr. Bearden. I don't think he's here today. Let's see if he's on. He's not on Skype, is he? Mr. Bearden, are you on Skype? No, just two. I had five Skyped into my calc class this morning. Bearden, nope. Miss Cherry. Okay. Yeah, I remember you were sitting up here the other day, wasn't you? Yeah. Okay, yeah, you just move a couple more times and I won't know who you are. Okay, Miss Cherry's here. Mr. Clark. Okay. Miss Crisp. Miss Crisp. Not here. Miss Driver. Okay. She's sitting beside you over there. She's drunk again. Is that what it is? I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I'm offended. Mr. Fields. Okay. Mr. Fields, you need to keep quiet in the class, okay? Fisher. Miss Fisher. Okay. Miss Fisher, do I know you from somewhere? You look awfully familiar. You're not one of my advisees, are you? You're not? Okay. You just look familiar. Mr. Fox. Okay. Miss Fuller. There you are. Mr. Harvell is here. Miss Hull, Mr. Hull. Okay. Miss Kemp. How are you kin to Willie Kemp? You know Willie Kemp? Okay. That name sounds familiar. I think I know a Willie Kemp. I think I went to school with somebody named Willie Kemp. Kraft, Mr. Kraft. Oh, back up. Yeah, I know you. Miss Kunkel. Okay. And Miss Silva is here. And Miss Simmons is here. Mr. Strickland is here. Mr. Warnick. Okay. And Mr. Weaver is here through Skype. Okay, so I only got 3 people that are not here, and that is Bearden, Chris, and Driver, right? Okay. Let's got that done, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, when you draw this thing, you should be drawing it on your graph paper, and it should be black. Hold on a second, I'm going to try something here. You know, I've had such extensive training on this thing. There's supposed to be a mouse button up here. Why ain't the mouse button up there? Oh. Sorry, well, can't see what I'm doing. Okay, the mouse button disappeared. I can't right click. What if I do this? There's the mouse button. No, that's not it. I thought there was a way I could put the, and I think there is a way, but I don't know how, and that's going to take forever. There's a way that I can bring in the graph paper, but I can't remember how to do it. I thought it was right click, but that's not it. All right, anyway, when you graph this function, it's going to look like this. And -2, +4, -2, +4, -1, +1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. And what is that? That is a parabola, but that is your basic model. What do you mean basic model? Well, when you go out and buy a brand new car, let's say you go out and buy a truck, a Ford F-150, which is pretty much useless. Let's go with a 250, F-250. All right, you go with the F-250, and you say, I want the basic model. Well, what does the basic model have? It has seats, it has a steering wheel, it may have an AM/FM radio, and it may have air conditioning. And it's got the vinyl black floor, nothing. All right? That's the basic model. But then you got the XL, which might have, I don't know, might have a cassette, but not cassette, but a CD player. It might have carpet. It might have power locks. Then you got the XLT, which will have more than all that. And then you got the blah, 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 blah edition, which will have heated seats, wood grain finish on the inside, power doors, power locks, cruise control, TV up in the ceiling, whatever the case may be. You got different models, right? But all of them are compared to the what? The basic model. Every one of your parent graphs is a basic model. This is the basic parabola. Everything that we compare in the parabola world is going to be compared to this black one, okay, or pencil. That's why I told you to do it in black or pencil. Now, let's do this one. Let's do in a blue or green, some kind of blue or green pigment to it. Let's do f of x is equal to x squared and I'm gonna put a 4 out front. Do that one. Remind me what time class is over. 12:35 is what I thought. Now, what's the Fire Stick streaming media player? What's that? It's $89.99. The first option says all new Fire TV stick with Alexa voice remote for $39.99, and the second one says Amazon Fire TV / streaming media player for $89.99. The third one says Amazon Fire TV stick. Doesn't have a price on it. Hell, it's free. Certified refurbished Amazon Fire TV stick, $29.99. What model?
Like the original Fire Stick, if it was, it probably discontinued. If you just see because it's either.
Yeah, this one says it's currently unavailable. I wonder why.
They're either out of stock or they discontinued.
The all new Fire Stick is one I should get. Right? Mm-hmm. You don't know what the difference is? Well, I bought the all new, which is $39.99. I will try that one first. Better hurry the heck up. I just don't understand why. Something's got to give. I mean, you don't get $200 or $300 worth of something that you can get for $40 with a program. Something's going to give. Either direct's going to drop. Yeah, I know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll have to play with it and see, but usually, you know, the old saying is, nothing is what? Nothing's free. Something's got to give.
The thing that gives is like your Netflix subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying for like the Netflix subscription, the HBO subscription, all that's separate. Whereas with like the TV boxes, cable boxes, it's all bundled in for one big bill.
The other thing too is Netflix doesn't have to buy it to your house.
Yeah, this is true.
Satellites, it's all through the middleman.
Yeah, but when I was with Netflix, when I first started with Netflix, it was $9 a month. Now it's like $30 a month. everything's gonna get higher. This, you know why? It's all the Russians' fault. All right, so here we go. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. -2 squared is what? 4. 4 squared is what? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. -1 squared is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 0. 0 times 4 is 0. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 is 16. And you see, -2, 1, 2, positive 16. I'll exaggerate a little bit, it's further than that, but -1, positive 4. 0, 0, 1 and 4, 2 and 16. What do you notice about the green one? It's narrow because A is greater than what? Greater than 1. Remember on the previous slides, I told you that when A is greater than 1, what's it going to be? It's going to be more narrow than the what? Than the basic model. And the basic model is the black. And what happens if A is between 0 and 1? Well, let's do that in a red marker. F of x is equal to 1/2 x squared. And I'm going to use multiples of the denominator. Plot that one. Now, Ms. Simmons, you said you had your stick program. Do you have to do subscriptions to the movie channels and stuff? I think I need to learn how to program. I'd start selling them. No, if I started selling them, I'd be put under the jail. Why is that? Some people can do stuff like that and make a fortune. I do it one time and I'll get thrown under the jail. I didn't. I'm gonna let Miss Simmons take the fall. I'm gonna let her take the fall. She's back there playing on the computer. All right, so here we go. -4 squared is 16. 16 divided by 2 is what? 8. -2 squared is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 0, 2, and 8. So -4 and 8. -1, -2, -3, -4, and 8. We said this was 4. So 8 would be right in there. And 4 and 8 would be right in there. -2, 1, 2, and 2, 1, 2, and 2, and 2, and 0. And what do you notice about the red? It's wider than what? Right, wider than the basic model. Okay, now let's do something else. Let's take our magenta button and let's do f of x is equal to -2 x squared. Do that one. Be the last one. We'll continue this. So we got about 2 or 3 more to put on this one graph. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. -2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. -1 is 1, -2, 0, -2, -8. -2, 1, 2, -8. 2, 8. -1, -2. 2, -1, 2. Now what do you notice about this one? Is it the same as the red one? Or I'm sorry. Okay, forget it. It's a little bit thinner because the black one because of the 2, but it's opening which way? Because of the negative. Now, when we come back Thursday or whatever day y'all come back, we're going to put the vertical and horizontal shift in, and then we're going to work with absolute value and see where you can take this with the absolute value and the square root and all that good stuff, okay? Y'all have a good day, and for my TV people on here, my Skype people, y'all have a good day also. Yeah, see you later. Live, bye.